Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to explain and recap a recently released movie called The Unseen. The film begins in an affluent neighborhood where an old lady gets strangled on her bed at night. The next morning we see the Olsen family. Dan Olsen was the man of the house type of tough guy who is also a celebrated attorney with his own prestigious law firm. His son Tom is a law student with cerebral palsy condition. Here Tom and Dan's relationship is stressed as he dislikes his dad's commanding attitude toward him as well as toward his mom. His elder sister is Lindsay and his younger sister is Callie, who is sort of an influencer. These guys watch the old lady's murder news on TV who turned out to be Dr. Barbara. Dr. Barbara was friendly to Callie. We see Dan giving a guest lecture in Tom's college where Tommy was feeling strange. He experiences some sort of involuntary movements in his left hand. At the same, his rude answer to his dad's question pisses off his dad. Here guy called Bryce taunts nepotism from the backbench. After the class, a girl named Olivia acquaints Tommy with a low-key law firm by the name of Jude and Teal. She was also one of the backbenchers whom Tom had never met, and she knew Tommy, being Dan Olsen's son, would be good for the firm. Jude and Teal was her mom's firm. Dan was constantly pushing Tommy for his internship in a reputed firm, but Tommy was adamant about success on his own. Tommy had a great interview with Ms. Jude and Mr. Teal where they were impressed by Tom's independent thinking and CV. During the interview Tom was blank for a few minutes. He had a vision of a young girl's blood-stained dress. After this, he saw Olivia in panic arguing with her colleague about her visions. She was having visions as well. Tom later ran into Bryce, who is also here for the same internship. Here Tom again had some visions where he saw a girl crying in a blood-stained dress. He was confused about all this, yet he ignored it. At night, we see some supernatural entity removing his blankets. We were shown a nightmare of his, where Dr. Barbara refused to operate and save an accident victim. She believed the trauma would be too much to bear for the victim even if she survives. As well as she didn't want to do the overtime. Hence, victim succumbed to death. The next morning, Tom got the offer. On his first day, Tom saw the same girl's raging image on one wall. When he asked about it to Olivia, it changed itself to a group photo of all associates. Ms. Jude hands Tom a pile of cold cases, which were unsolved for years, and asked him to prepare a report if he finds anything new in it. At dinner, Tom shares his new internship news with his family. Dan was furious as Tom has rejected his recommended top firms and instead chose a low-key firm. At midnight we see Tom getting up from a nightmare. His mirror was covered in blood with "Kill Me" written all over it. Tom started shouting at Callie as he thought it might be her stupid prank. Everyone woke up due to this, but when they saw the mirror it was clean. It seemed Tom hallucinated it. Dan was angry as this kind of episode is still happening with Tom. He needed a drink to cool off, but the bottle was empty. Dan blamed Meredith for this and tried strangling her. He was abusive to her. The same night Bryce was attacked by someone and got killed. Tom saw it on the news. Later he submitted his report on a few cases. Ms. Jude here insisted he dig deep into the hit-and-run case. It was important to her as it was cold for a long time. Tom started working overtime on this case and started finding the clues. He was rescued by Olivia, who took him to dinner. Tom discussed his childhood life on how he was bullied by others. Especially by Bryce. We were shown a flashback where Tom was helping his schoolmate Millie, who was also suffering from the same condition. Bryce was mean to them. Tom's episodes continued for many days. In one of his nightmares, we see a girl with many injuries on her face. It seems she was trapped somewhere. She writes a message of "Free me" on a wall with blood. One day Tom wakes up with blood on his face and hand. He had no idea of how he got injured himself. Meredith thought the new job at Jude's making him stressed and suggested he heed his dad's advice. Lindsay gave him the card of a psychiatrist by the name of Dr. Gunderson who had helped her earlier. Tom consults the doctor who after counseling asks about his traumatic experience. Tom narrates the story of when he was in high school. One night he came home in horror and started crying. He had just witnessed an accident where his classmate was run over by a car. Instead of helping, he just left her dying on the road. He was insisting on calling the cops, but Dan stopped him. He promised him that he will take care of this. Here we see the same girl again who asks Dr. Gunderson, "Can you see me?" Tom was in a trance-like situation during this, which made Dr. Gunderson clear that something is seriously odd with Tom. He was scared like hell. He refused to help Tom. The next day, Tom saw the news of Dr. Gunderson's attempted suicide. Apparently, he had visual hallucinations. At night, we see Tom getting possessed by some entity, and later Meredith, too, getting possessed. Clearly, something supernatural is here. The next day, while submitting the report, Tom saw the photo of Ms. Jude with the same girl, whom he saw on the wall. This triggered a panic attack in him and a lot of hallucinations. Olivia later comforted him by saying she too saw that girl on that day. She was just hesitant to admit it, as he would have thought of her as crazy. She too was getting visions, blackouts, and nobody was believing her. The killing spree in the city continues with a mechanic by the name of Owen. While Tom was going through the records he found, Ms. Jude was once an associate in Dan's firm. He and Meredith knew Ms. Jude very well, yet they never mentioned her. Here we see Olivia getting possessed in Tom's office. She was scared and confused. When Tom confronted Meredith about Ms. Jude, she refused to answer her history. It was clear, though, something very bad had happened between them. Next, we see injury marks all over her body. Amidst the rain, we see a guy getting attacked and killed by someone. He turned out to be a cop by the name of Victor Evans. Tom identifies this cop as he was the one his dad called after he told him about the accident. It turned out he was a dirty cop who took money from Dan and fabricated the evidence. He changed the car from a black Escalade to white sedan. Tom went hysteric thinking about all these killings. Emotionally, he was close to only his elder sister Lindsay, who tried calming him down. But this time he was over entirely different, as if he was someone else. In a rage, he attacked Lindsay with a piece of glass. Callie came rushing, hearing Lindsay's voice, where Tom was confused as to how and why he attacked. Just then he got a call from his dad from the basement asking him to come down there ASAP. When he reached there, we see Meredith there in a possessed state. Apparently, Olivia was down there in a fully possessed state, calling Tom's name. Dan thought she might be on drugs and insisted on calling the cops. Olivia, on the other hand, started crawling walls and attacked Tom. She showed him a vision. Tom was at a high school party with his friends. Bryce and his gang decide to leave the party after some time to hang out at his place. Tom, under peer pressure, tagged along. Millie was scared to walk home alone in the rain, hence she asked Tom's help. Tom agreed to help her as she tagged along. But Bryce was verbally abusing her all along, and it reached a peak when he threw her bag on the road during a heavy downpour. While trying to pick up the bag, she got killed by a speeding car. Tom got scared seeing her and simply ran from there, even though she was alive. Back in the present, Tom understood everything. It was Dan all along. Tom told him about the accident, but instead of helping Millie, he covered it. The cop forged the evidence, the mechanic destroyed the car, and Dr. Barbara, who could have saved her at the hospital, chose to let her die, sensing the trauma would be too much to bear. Tom and Dan fight over this. It turned out Meredith was the one who was speeding and killed Millie. Dan was just helping to save her while Tom was the eyewitness. He did all this just to save his family. Tom was heartbroken to hear all this. Just then he and Olivia saw the spirit of Millie. She was the one who was possessing Tom. She killed all those people by possessing Tom. Here, while crying, she forgives Tom. His crime of negligence was nothing compared to the elders who knowingly didn't help. Soon Millie possessed Meredith and kills Dan. Later, police arrest Meredith for this murder, and Ms. Jude pays her a visit in jail. Here another truth is revealed. Millie was Ms. Jude and Dan's daughter. Monster Dan had an affair with his associate. It seemed Meredith unintentionally ran over Millie as her driving skills were shaky. But Ms. Jude never forgave her, as she always thought she did it intentionally. She always suspected Meredith, but there was no hard evidence. In the end, we see Meredith seeing Millie's spirit inside the cell, which suggests she will kill herself. It's a clear revenge case where a ghost took revenge on people who were responsible for it. Though the story is straightforward and nothing new, but I like the execution. It hooks you up. It's a light horror film for one-time or rainy day watch. Hope you liked this recap. Please subscribe to my channel, and for more ending explain and reviews, please visit my blog www.letmerecap.com. Thanks for watching. Take care.